Canada is a major energy exporter of both oil and quite possibly natural gas in the future. And to do that, Canadians have to, there have to be pipelines built and more railroads and lots of infrastructure to support the sort of wealth creation that will come in Canada as it goes over the next 30 years. So, I think the most important principles that Canadians can follow are those of sustainability. And by sustainability, it's looking at the environmental, economic, and social impacts of all development and then figuring out how to do those developments in a way that's sustainable over the long run. TransAlta today has gone from 70% coal to 50%. We've made that difference up by investing in wind and renewables. We're now the largest renewable investor in Canada with 2,000 megawatts of wind and hydro. And as well, natural gas is coming on. So the mix in the future is likely to be a lot of natural gas and a lot of wind with a diminishing mix of coal until we find things like carbon capture and storage to be able to reduce the CO2 emissions from coal. Now, any kind of energy development that we're looking at, particularly if you're looking around the pipelines, requires a really good, strong understanding of First Nations issues. And what TransAlta does is we look at the First Nations very holistically. We see them as governments, we see them as partners. We approach every one of them on an individual basis because each of them have different concerns and needs in their arenas. And we look to see what the needs are for them. So for example, we have a hydro investment in British Columbia where we're an equity partner, and as well we pay a bit of a royalty. But we also support the First Nations with bursary programs to make sure that the education is there, and we send one leader a year to the MAP school for leadership training. I think fundamentally, if you look at all resource development, there's an Aboriginal there's normally Aboriginal people that are involved in the development. They may have rights and title to the land that you're working with. They may be close in the region, but more importantly, they are the fastest growing population in Canada. And the reality is, in order for the First Nations to be full partners and full participants in the economic development of our resources, they need the capacity, and for them to have the capacity, they need to be educated. So we work with them to see what their needs are, but for the most part, what they say to us is help us educate our young people, but more importantly, give them really good, meaningful jobs that will last them a lifetime.